Travel Through Grief. Welcome to Travel Through Grief. I'm your host, Ellen Beckemeyer. So today we have a bonus day episode. Today we are celebrating the Wanna Get Away Day. Earlier this week, I shared an episode called The Desire to Get Away. That conversation was about longing, the pull towards something more, the places we dream about, the experiences we imagine, and those moments when we find ourselves wondering what else might still be waiting for us. Today, however, I want to talk about what happens after the desire. Because wanting something is one thing, moving toward it is another. A few years ago, my coach mentor hosted a summer challenge. One of the prizes was a trip to Positano, Italy. Unfortunately, I didn't win. But something happened anyway within me. The challenge got me dreaming bigger. Italy had been at the top of my bucket list for years. If someone asked me where I most wanted to travel, the answer came easily. Italy. The coastline, villages, sea, the history, everything about it fascinated me. For a long time, it was one of those dreams that lives safely in the future. I could enjoy the idea of it without having to make it happen. Then my mentor announced another Positano trip the following year. I thought about it. I'm like, I really need to start living my life again. I've had so much loss, so much grief. So this time, I signed up. The dream suddenly had dates attached to it. I wasn't looking at photographs and wondering what it might be like. Now I was imagining myself there, standing on those cliffs, looking out over that gorgeous water, meeting all the other people from the group, and I would be coming home with stories I would tell for years. For the first time, I wasn't watching someone else's adventure. I was stepping into my own. Then I started researching the trip a little more carefully. The pictures were beautiful. The details were sobering. You see, Positano, well, it's built into the side of a cliff. Depending on where you're staying, getting from parts of town to the beach can involve roughly 1,000 steps. And I'm talking outside rock steps. Some villas require even another 500 steps beyond that. I remember staring at those numbers. At the time, I still had a bad left hip. Walking through a grocery store, well, it wasn't very easy. And the idea of climbing 1,000 to 1,500 steps every day was something else entirely. The more I learned, the clearer it became to me. The reality was that Positano was just asking something from my body that my body couldn't give at that moment. I was so crushed. Not because I might lose money. Not because I was worried about missing a vacation. You see, I was crushed because I had finally allowed myself to believe it was happening. For years, Italy had lived in the someday category. And it was actually becoming real. But because it became real, now it felt like it was slipping away again. I remember thinking about all the photographs I wouldn't get to take, the views I would not see, the stories I wouldn't experience. I had spent so much time imagining myself there that it felt like I was grieving something that hadn't even happened yet. At the same time, I knew what my body was telling me. If determination alone could have gotten me up those stairs, I would have climbed every one of them. But this wasn't about desire. I wanted to go desperately. The challenge was that desire and reality, well, they were just having two different conversations. One part of me was saying, go, maybe you can figure it out. And another part was saying, not this way. Looking back, I think that's where many of us get stuck. We assume our choices are yes or no, go or don't go. Unfortunately, dream or just give up. What I hadn't realized yet was that there was another option. Find another route. Instead of Positano, I switched to my mentor's Ireland trip in 2023. Looking back now, that decision changed the direction of my life. You see, Ireland became my first international trip outside of Canada and Mexico. I still remember sitting on the plane and realizing I am actually doing this. For years, I had joked that if I'm going to cross the ocean, I'm going first class. And you know what? I did. I had my own pod. I got to stretch out and sleep. And there was something else. The flight attendants took wonderful care of us. And yes, I still remember those seasoned nuts. I talked about them for weeks, even months. In American Airlines and Air France, you got it going on. I don't know what was in that seasoning, but I was convinced I had just discovered the taste of luxury. What stands out most, though, isn't just the flight, it's the experience itself. The Irish countryside was stunning. The castles actually were something from another century. The scenery, it seemed endless. But years later, what I remember most are the people. The conversations that started, the stories shared around the tables, the laughter that showed up unexpectedly, the friendships that formed when a group of women experienced something new together. And also, if it hadn't been for this trip, we wouldn't have this podcast right now, because it was that group of women that helped me figure out that this was the podcast I was meant to do. You see, travel has a way of shrinking the distance between strangers. By the end of the trip, it felt like I had known some of these women much longer than a week. Ireland really did change something in me. Before Ireland, international travel felt, kind of intimidating. After that, it felt accessible, reachable, and real. And then one trip led to another. You see, Paris followed the following year, and then England the next year, and then Costa Rica. And later this year, I'm actually going to Greece. Sometimes I look back and wonder, what would have happened if I had decided the Positano stairs were the end of the story? What if I just convinced myself that travel just wasn't meant for me, at least not internationally? None of these trips would have ever happened. That's why I wanted to share this story today, because I think many people encounter an obstacle and quietly stop wanting. The dream, it just becomes too complicated. A plan falls apart, life introduces a challenge, and before long, they decide the whole thing's just impossible. I've learned something different. The dream and the route, they are not the same thing. I thought I wanted Positano. I still do. However, what I really wanted was adventure and connection, to have an experience, to create stories. I just wanted a bigger life. In Ireland, it gave me every one of those things. And it gave me something else, momentum. One decision made the next decision easier. One experience created room for another. And one yes, thank you, Susan, changed how I saw myself. Looking back, I realize Positano taught me something before I ever got there. I couldn't take the route I had planned, but I could still move forward. Maybe that's the lesson of On a Getaway Day. Not every path will be available to us. Not every plan will unfold the way we imagine. Sometimes life asks us, to change direction. Sometimes it just asks us to rethink the map. That doesn't mean we stop wanting. That doesn't even mean we stop moving. What it simply means is there's another route waiting to be discovered. So thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. And until next time, remember, the destination may change, the route may change, but you can still move forward. I'm Ellen Beckemeyer, and this is Travel Through Grief. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. If this episode connected with you, I'd love for you to follow our podcast, leave a review, or share it with someone who may need it. Those small actions truly help new podcasts like Travel Through Grief grow and reach more people. And thank you to everyone who has already listened, rated, reviewed, and supported this journey. I appreciate you more than you know. Until next time, keep finding your way forward.